Hello everyone, this is your Love and Finance Tarot Guidance for the month of October 2022. I'm making this content available across all of my platforms this month, so everyone has a chance to see what my special tarot guidance readings have to offer. Subscriptions are available through my website, the Patreon app, and also on YouTube. If you are trying to find these monthly videos on YouTube, click on Join Channel for more information. Feel free to contact me with any questions. October is a month designed to bring change through whatever means necessary, it would seem, and it will no doubt contain some interesting moments. As the month begins, Venus has already entered home sign of Libra on September 29th, so you will find this to be helpful. Mercury will go direct on the 2nd at 24 degrees Virgo, not to leave shadow until the 16th. You know the drill. Avoid making any moves on the day Mercury stations direct, and try not to schedule anything important, as there could be delays, detours, and confusion. Give yourself until at least the 7th before you begin to pace yourself moving forward with your plans. Pluto follows suit, going direct October 8th at 26 degrees Capricorn. Some might feel uncomfortable with the truths Pluto will reveal. It is possible to see secrets come out, which others might prefer remain hidden, especially on a more global level. A full moon, 16 degrees Aries, occurs on the 9th. It will kick off the wild ride known as eclipse season, which will run all the way until November 23rd. This full moon will oppose Venus, which reminds me of the 1980 classic Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places by Johnny Lee. The need to partner and the inability to do so could lead some to some very poor choices, while others could see relationship drama at this time. The moon will also make a sextile to Saturn, hopefully providing a reality check, allowing you to remain serious and focus your attention on family matters and various responsibilities. Next up, Saturn resumes direct motion October 23rd at 18 degrees Aquarius. Think back to events of a karmic nature which took place back at Saturn's station retrograde on June 4th. How has this karma played out in your life? Has the lesson been learned? If so, it could be time to reap those karmic rewards. You will find the 23rd to be a powerful day, with Venus moving into Scorpio, its fall position. Venus does not like to be here, since Scorpio is the opposite sign of its home in Taurus, but there is no denying the passion Scorpio brings to the mix. However, love matters can also take on the possessive, obsessive nature of Scorpio, bringing out the stalker in some and the green-eyed monster in others. The Sun takes up residence in Scorpio on this day to stay for the next 4 weeks, where you might not have been able to decide and to move forward with something during the Sun's stay in Libra. You will now make up your mind and let the sign of death and rebirth assist you in transforming an area of your life. To really get Scorpio season underway, there will be a new moon partial solar eclipse at 2 degrees Scorpio on the 25th. This new moon will be conjunct Venus, both in Scorpio, a passionate sign, and it will add a most lovely vibe to your day. Love and passion will abound here, and there could also be some form of transformative fiscal opportunity afoot at this time. As the month draws to a close, Mars will station retrograde on October 30th. It will station direct on January 12th, 2023, and complete its post-shadow on March 15th, 2023. As you know, Mars is all about your energy, and it will be in Gemini for this entire time. So, do make sure you see what this means for your sign. In respect to aspects, the month begins with an opposition between Venus and Jupiter on the 1st. This transit is all in the timing for each individual. October 1st falls on a Saturday, so if you have the luxury of not working, then go ahead and indulge yourself. There is a tendency here to do things to excess, so do be careful. The 6th brings a trine involving Mercury and Pluto, and with Mercury now being direct, the possibility of having important conversations to bring about desired change and transformation is totally possible. On the 7th, the Libra Sun will oppose Chiron in Aries, Oppositions tend to deal with relationships, and you could find yourself working to help heal another. The question is whether or not you should be doing this, or if you should be working on yourself. Male figures are often involved here. Venus opposes Chiron October 10th, bringing front and center your wounds regarding love and or money. Once again, your relationships, even with your finances, can be something which needs your attention and to be faced once and for all in order to heal. The Sun and Saturn will form a trine on the 11th, and this is the type of Saturn transit we all like to see. You can be rewarded now for your efforts and find it much easier to achieve your goals. This one could leave you feeling better about yourself. Mars squares off with Neptune October 12th, and the energy can become quite confusing. Where Mars is typically aggressive in nature, here it will be weakened and you could feel ineffective. Mercury will oppose Jupiter on this day as well. This conjures up big picture moments with big ideas to go with them. How you act upon things is probably key here, for it is easy to overlook important details while being caught up in the optimism of the transit. On the 14th, Venus trines Saturn, and this is a pretty good combination if you are looking for long-term commitment in a relationship or a sound financial opportunity to be put in play for the long term. You will prefer the sure thing over that which glitters. The Libra Sun will trine Mars in Gemini October 17th. This transit just might make up for the Mars-Neptune square back on the 12th. It will fill you with the confidence to do whatever you need to achieve whatever you want. It is important to note Mars is slowing down more each day, but you can still take advantage of this influence to tackle something difficult, which requires more energy of you. Venus trines Mars October 18th, and for those interested in dating, this is a great aspect for doing so. How you feel and how you look are reflected through this transit, and you will be feeling a bit more creative. The 19th brings a square between the Sun and Pluto. It can lead to some intense moments, especially if you are not the one with the power. Ego clashes and conflicts abound, and those with the upper hand will probably have the last say, and in a very controlling way. Also on the 19th, Mercury, now moving ahead at full speed, will oppose Chiron. This is a good time to have those difficult conversations within relationships. Saying the right things at the right time can lead to healing. On the 20th, Venus squares Pluto, and the green-eyed monster is bound to rear its ugly head. Possessiveness, obsessiveness, jealousy, and control issues can cause more than a little friction during this intense transit. The Sun will conjunct Venus, currently in home sign of Libra, on the 22nd. The universe does not allow conflict to exist for too long, and has a way of coming up with an energetic shift to make things feel good again. Finding peace and harmony when it comes to love and money is possible now. Also on the 22nd, Mercury trines Saturn, and unless you hear me come back around at some point, giving reason not to do so, now is a good time to make a commitment and to sign contracts. Your attention to detail will work to your advantage here. On the 26th, Mercury trines Mars, and not only is the mind now firing on all cylinders, you also have the confidence, passion, and drive to back it up. Mercury squares Pluto on the 27th, provoking serious thought and conversation, and perhaps a great deal of intensity to go with it. I only count 16 major aspects for the month of October, far fewer than recent, extremely difficult months have had. I do not think that less aspects means less eventful, by the way, okay, because as I mentioned, eclipse season, and eclipse season arrives on the 9th, so you're just starting to see the retrogrades moving out, 3 of them in the month of October, but eclipse season is going to dominate for October and November. But I'm thinking in a good way. All right. Sometimes things are not comfortable, in order to get to an outcome. But I'm just thinking, because I'm here looking at the cards, and this video will be out before, we get to the equinox. and you've heard me speak about the equinox so much, between the solstice and the equinox and transitional phase that you've been in. And I know that there's a big transition that's coming on its way to you in, sooner than you think. All right. So you're in this new cycle now in October. And, you've been patient. And I'll tell you what, you've got that Aries full moon coming up on the 9th. That's some very impulsive energy, really daring you to take a chance and to step up and to be authentic, like true to yourself, kind of authentic, that type of thing. There's a lot, that feeling that people describe to me about feeling like they're being picked up and moved around and, being deposited someplace else. That's what's coming in October, because that's what eclipse season does. There's all this activity that's going on, and you really can't see until you get to the other side of it, which may be why, I keep bringing up November 23rd, when eclipse season ends at the Sagittarius new moon and Jupiter goes direct. So it's a very powerful moment at that time, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised for many, many of you. So there's a lot that's about to happen, and I do think in a good way. In some sense, you're going to kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, not to say refusing to budge, because you have to kind of go with the tide of things, but to be perhaps fiscally conservative would be a good way to put it. If you have matters that you're trying to determine right now, I know as the month begins, Mercury goes direct on the 2nd. Now, if you got to buy something, you got to buy something. There's no way around it. But when it comes to, I guess luxury things, you may want to reconsider, because there seem to be far more pressing decisions that are on the horizon. It's like if you were just going to go along and do what you're going to do, yeah, you might go ahead and spend money over here and do that over there. But it feels like bigger things, bigger choices, direction choices. And I'd say around the time of the full moon that patience and impulse are kind of duking it out, all right, and trying to decide which way to go. It just, it is what it is. That time frame, all right, you spend the majority of the month still in Libra season, where you can't quite see the outcome, you can't decide what should be done. But boy, oh boy, let that energy begin to shift to Scorpio, and let the assessment begin. Let me out of here, all right? Looking for solutions, creative ones at that. What a difference. It really is so much about energy all the time. And I think October, if you try to proceed with caution, not caution, but without being too over the top crazy, that you'll find it's taking you somewhere really good. Now, the flip side, or the partner, however you want to put it, because the eclipses generally come in pairs, the other eclipse is going to be one in Taurus coming up on November the 9th. And I think we're going to need to include that in here. There is just major something is going on. Now, is it within relationships? Eclipse seasons have a way of doing that, all right? It doesn't have to be the loved ones. It can be any kind. And, seeing which way the wind is blowing and what's going on. I mentioned Saturn a couple times, and looking for long-term security. See, one of the topics of conversation really throughout this year has you have been trying to regain your power. It seems like somewhere between, I want to say, November, February, it just was really diminishing, and it continued to do so, even though you have taken steps to regain it. It's just been that constant, one step forward, two steps back, or, feeling like you're losing ground, that kind of thing. But there's progress that's being made here, and details become much more, I want to say, clear. All right, you're going to be taking on a new perspective. Where are we at here? Yeah. Tail end of the year. What do we got? I do not feel you're waiting until the end of the year for change, but we will have this Mars retrograde that's coming in at the end of the month, and it's in play until January 12th. I think somewhere around the full moon of January 6th in home sign of Cancer, all right? Because it appears to be that kind of like right after the holidays kind of thing coming up. The new year holds new things, man, and I think it'll be most welcome. And it's time, because where it's like knowing what you should have, knowing what you should be able to do, knowing what you want, and yet feeling like you're waiting around, and you're not. You're putting all this effort and everything into what you're doing, but you're getting what you need out of this. That sounds a little cryptic, but when you get that far, I think you'll really begin to understand. Okay, there needs to be an overcoming of what do you call it? Temptation. And this could come around the time of the Aries full moon on October the 9th, at least kicking in with that energy for your future, how you're going to manifest and bring your abundance to fruition. So, I've got good feelings about what's going on here. Sometimes we need that fire energy to come in, just kind of like kick our butts into gear kind of thing. So, I think it becomes much easier to let some things just like go. All right? Yeah, right? So it didn't work out. It doesn't mean you failed, right? Oh my God. And in my hand, I'm looking at one thing, and in my hand I got another here, and it's like, yeah, most definitely time. And I think you're going to find over the course of the eclipse season, maybe bringing you into even early December, you got a lot going on, and you have important crossroads which are coming your way. The Scorpio new moon, which comes up on October 25th, is, providing more choices, more new beginnings. When I say this is an eventful eclipse season, well, they usually are, but this one feels different, all right? It doesn't feel cataclysmic. I think for people who deserve, whatever, things might happen, but I think for most people, they're going to start to see that not so much the words paying off just yet, but getting that balance, getting that traction, and getting things going. Yeah, most definitely. Because your hopes and dreams are right on the other side of that Sagittarius new moon. There's a lot that's happening between now and then. And in the context of this, if you're thinking about it from October 1st, you're looking at about 7 weeks until that time frame comes up. Just what are you creating? I think you're really going to be surprised. The creativity is incredible, all right? And the need for things to be balanced and fair. There's a major move that's coming, okay? Sometime, I want to say next month, but I think it's this month. And I think that it's important that it happens this month. It's going to take a lot of teamwork. It's going to take a lot to make it happen. Boy, oh boy. You're going to be surprised. It's like no more lifelines. This may not be for you. I think this could be on the news, all right? But it's playing out probably from, let's say, late October to late November, maybe early November, all right? So it's a time frame of a couple of weeks. In other words, the eclipse season, where we're in that space between the two, between October 25th and November the 9th, I have a feeling it's going to be extremely eventful and bring in the kind of karma that it takes to, bring about some much deserved, yeah, we will see. I know, I'm being cryptic, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Worrying about what you don't know, about what is unclear. You're being guided, all right? You're being guided towards some major change. There are some old structures which are being torn away. And I'm telling you, that's what, when Scorpio season arrives, there's going to be a lot of that going on. And, it has to be cleared away in order to make room for what is new and what is coming. I think you're going to be really surprised. You're going to be giving a lot of thought to relationships in the coming weeks. Just saying. All right. I don't know who does these cards, because sometimes I swear that we have more than 78 or we don't have enough. But anyway, it just let things, let the chips fall where they may. I'm telling you, if you are an observer and you look around at the things that are happening, because I know sometimes people become so engrossed with what they want and where they want to go and what they want to do, they're not paying enough attention to everything else, to all the fallout around them. And there's a lot of it, okay? There is a great deal of it taking place. And things which happen in the lives of others can impact your lives as well. And that's important to remember. Whatever you've been through, wherever you're going, one of the key things here is to never allow yourself to go through some of these things again. All right? How to put it is like, a lot of times I call it the hard times. And you're like, never again. I am going to, keep that away from me. That's the best way I can describe it. So if anything in life has given you a particularly hard time, the closer we get to the end of the year, the more forceful you are in your, like keeping that wolf from your door. It's like, no. And something tells me it may very well have a great deal to do with how Saturn has treated you in the last few years while it's been in Aquarius. So we'll have to see. But I'm just thinking, there isn't as much specificity here as one would like, but there's an awful lot of change. And I think you're going to have to just stay tuned to see what all is coming. But, impulse, yeah, it's there. Will you make some bold moves in early October? Good possibility. But I think that they are necessary ones that you've been trying to make for some time, and that you'll be glad that you did. But for the most part, you're being asked to, pace yourself through your journey and to be, mindful of not just yourself. And I don't mean it like where you're sitting and watching what someone else is doing and wishing that they're going to do something that impacts your life. I do not mean it that way. I'm saying do not be so self-absorbed that you don't pay attention to what else is going on in the world and in your surroundings, because it is going to matter. And you might not be able to see it today, but you will in the long run. So I want to thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care.